Okay, so just a quick reminder, this is what Lover Cities is all about. Three things. We got our community-wide, citywide volunteer day. That's the Cadillac event. Man, it's the big thing that tries to get as many people on board and to not just for the day, but obviously for year round. And that kind of leads to the second thing is we're about year round impact. It's not just about the day. One day doesn't change everything, but hopefully ongoing initiatives throughout the year is where we're going to see the needle move here in our cities here. And then certainly, when we do all this, the city starts looking at us kind of like if you've been in a city for 25 years, people start, recognize you and knowing you. Therefore, you have that opportunity to convene. And I think when you have that kind of influence by bringing together hundreds or thousands of people, and then you've got these ongoing things going on, the city, the county, the area, the church leaders, the business leaders, they're going to look to you like you're the ones going to be most connected. So we are conveners, in our city. Underpinning all this is this right here, is that we're all in this together. We all live in different cities, but I'm telling you, we have so much in common. And our cities have so much in common that we can all learn from each other. I want you to do this in the chat. By the way, thanks for putting all those books. That's really awesome to see that. That was a random kind of a thing, but that was really cool. Can you put, and I know some of you have done this already, of course, but the dates of your city-wide volunteer day. Just put your dates, your name of your city, your dates, and then beside that, are you doing a kickoff or a festivities kickoff time as well? I just want to keep getting good data on who's doing what and where and when. And so I can keep up to date on that. And then as your date gets closer, that, we can be praying for you and your day and being a help to any way that we can. So I know a lot of cities are coming up here, in April and May, but certainly we have a lot of cities in the fall as well. So if you can just put all that data in there, I would really, really appreciate it. Okay, without further ado. So our topic this morning is on how to maximize your social media impact, how to bring your social media, your city social media to the next level. And, I don't know about you, but I'm somewhat intimidated by social media stuff. It doesn't come naturally to me. Some of these words, these terms, and the best way to do it, and everyone's got an opinion. It's overwhelming. And I didn't do it really well for a lot of years. And I tried to get people to do it, and you know how it is. It just never has been something I feel like we've done well at until this last year. We locally, our local nonprofit, Love Stanislaus County, we hired Brian March here as our executive director. And I didn't know we were getting this with Brian. I didn't know that he worked at our local college and he got all this training. His local school put a bunch into him to really be trained well on how to maximize social media here. And so we have been a benefactor of that here locally. And I want you all to be a benefactor of this wherever you live in your city as well. This is going to extend beyond that. Brian, just so you know, Brian, I'm going to have you do a little quick bio on yourself. But I just got to say this, is that he has been such a huge, huge blessing to me personally, as well as to everything that we're doing. He's a compliment to me. I'm more visionary, dreamer, love to tell the story, get excited. Y'all know who I am. Brian is more operations. He's more just methodical and logical sometimes, and he just can pull things off better, in a system kind of format than I can. So we just been a great compliment. I think you guys, again, are benefiting from that, allowing me to really serve you guys more. So Brian, do a quick bio, and then you're off to the rest of the time. It's all yours. Let's welcome Brian.
I was born in a small village in Stanislaus County. So no, I'm kidding. Born and raised here in Modesto, and like Jeff said, I actually went to our local community college, Modesto Junior College, and then got hired there. Spent 10 years as a program coordinator, working with at-risk youth, gang youth, single moms, and recent high school graduates. In that time, also 10 years of being an outreach recruiter. Then transitioned into teaching for 7 years, and then spent my last 6 years working as a dean. And as a dean, I had about 7 different departments there. Woke up one day, that job being a dean was my dream job from about my mid-20s on. Got there, did 6 years and realized that's not the dream job. I couldn't turn my neck anymore. I wasn't helping people as much anymore. I was becoming more transactional. So I did what everybody does in their mid-40s in a pandemic and switched careers. And actually, my short testimony was I asked the question that I never asked God. I would always ask him to help me at work. I asked him to show me where I belong. And an hour after, and then I went and took a nap, and I got up and got onto Facebook, started scrolling, and there was an opening for this thing called Love Stanislaus County. And I remember Love Modesto, and I kind of ignored it, and then it kept coming up. So then I applied, and here I am, took the biggest leap of my life. I'm not in this age of my season of my life, I'm not one to take those kind of jumps. So I took a leap of faith, and it's worked out great. So I love being here. My last 3 years at MJC, actually my entire time at MJC, we had a graphics and marketing area, and they would take forever to do everything. So like you, I didn't know anything about social media other than what everybody knows and how they post. And the president at that time put under my area public relations and asked me we actually didn't have a public relations department. So he asked me to build it from this ground up with social media content, marketing, public relations. They're all separate things. So as Jeff said, I got a lot of training, went to a lot of different places, and was able to make a huge impact on our digital marketing footprint. And so now we've done that here. And so I'm going to walk you through this. Feel free to stop and ask questions or ask questions at the end. What I want everybody to know more than anything is how easy this is. So if you hear terminology that sounds scary, one of the biggest ones that always sounds scary is algorithm, and I'll get to that one. It's just a fancy word that you hear, but it's a really simplistic approach to doing social media. As I just was telling Jeff about 5 minutes ago, I do 90% of our social media content on my couch when my wife forces me to watch Bachelor on Mondays. So that's how simplistic it can get. I do it all on my phone. There was a time, Jeff, I have a couch in my office and was laying down. He's all, "What, are you taking a break?" And I go, "No, I'm actually working on all of our videos." And he's all, "On your phone?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is the new world. Like, you don't have to have 4 screens and 10 laptops and all that good stuff." So we're gonna jump in here. One of the things you need to know is everything that you do in your personal social media, that goes out the window. So that's a completely different world. There's no rules for that. You can post as much as you want. You're obviously not trying to build algorithms or try to bring content or anything like that. So you have to really, from a mindset, throw that out the window. Social media is about conversations. It's about community, connecting with the audience. It's about building relationships. And from a customer base, it's about authenticity, honesty, and open dialogue. So one of the things that's tough sometimes, when, especially I've noticed in coming into the nonprofit world, when it's religious based, is we might feel like we're boasting. To build your product from a professional standpoint, you have to boast. And boasting doesn't mean, "Hey, we did this great work," but it's letting people know your story. That's really what social media is about, is sharing and storytelling. And you see a lot of this now when people, like, you see class reunions dropping now, because the big allure to a class reunion was, "I wonder what they're up to." And now with social media, we know that year round. And so that's what you want to do with what's happening. You don't want to take for advantage, or assume that people know what your volunteer day is. So even coming out of COVID right now, we've talked a lot about this in a lot of ways. Love Modesto, love Turlock, love Salida, all the different ones, love Oakdale that we have in our communities. We're rebranding and rebuilding and sharing, okay, this is what this is, because it's been 3 years since we've had the live rally, 3 years since we've had as many people together. So this is a great, fast way to do that. Each platform has different rules. So Facebook is a platform that's designed to have more elongated conversations. You can put more words in there, and you can put a lot more pictures in there. If you are the person that gets on Instagram and puts 5 paragraphs in there, that's not going to work for you. So Instagram is about pictures. It's about a snapshot of going in there. Twitter, I know Jeff loves Twitter. Twitter is about comments, and you have to assess your area. And to be honest, through political climate, Twitter has been a lot of people have pushed away from Twitter. If you look at their stock, if you look at their thing, a lot of people still use it, but you want to dig into the data, and we'll talk about that. Like on our Twitter, I think we have, Jeff, like 2,500, right, or 3,000 followers. But if you look at all of our tweets, we've never had more than 3 likes. And we're going to get into that kind of at the bottom of that. So there's a difference between people following you and people engaging with you. One of the things to remember, and we're going to talk a lot about this throughout as we go here, posting too often is the equivalent of putting a box of sodas on top of the eggs when you're grocery shopping. So I know sometimes we go to a concert, we go to a movie, and we're posting everything. We go to a ball game, and our personal, that's okay to do. For your professional, 1 to 2 times a day is your max. And that's hard for people. They want to keep posting, they want to do stuff. But think about every time you do a post, it's like, here's the post. And if you do another post, something's pushing down that post. So that first post isn't going to be seen. And so that's what's important. If you continue to post and go through that, they don't need to see me. So that's kind of how that works in that. Now, here's the word that scares everybody, algorithm. So I have an example here. You don't need to be able to read it, but this is a Facebook page, and it could be the same as you're looking at in your feed for Instagram. No one Facebook page feed or Instagram feed is the same. They're all custom to you and to what you do. So if you're breaking some of these rules, if you're posting too often, what happens is what the algorithm does behind is it takes people out of your feed. It takes things to a lower level. So for example, this is what we're working on with Love Stanislaus. We have 4 pages right now, and 3 of our pages, the algorithm is almost non-existent. So the personal interaction works for the people that are on there right now, but it's not even in anybody else's feed. So we're not gaining new followers, and we're going to talk about that. It's really important to keep this active. You want to stay basically in people's feed, and that's why you follow these rules. You follow the posting rules, you follow the content rules that we're going to talk about, then you stay relevant in the feed. So that's why even in your personal account, you might say, hey, I'm friends with Corey and I haven't seen her post anything, and I go to her page, but she's been posting all the time. The algorithm doesn't connect to that because we haven't interacted, or the content hasn't been relevant, or Corey may not have stopped enough to look at our content. So as we get to the bottom, again, it's not just about likes. A lot of people from a personal standpoint, it's all about the likes, but not from a business standpoint. And I do have a habit of talking too fast when I get excited. So let me know, because I do get excited about marketing and public relations because I geek out on it. So posting videos, huge difference here. The world is now video. And so I encourage you, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this. When you say video, you don't have to have a video production team. I have, actually, let me grab it real quick. I invested $100 in this, and all it was something I saw online, and it's just a little stick. I stick my phone in it, and it has a microphone that plugs into my phone, and it gives me Hollywood quality videos. As you go to Love Stanislaus County's social media, you'll see most of the videos have been produced on there. Some of them have been produced professionally, but we'll talk about the balance of that. But looking right here, this was one of our sponsors, and this is what I shared with our staff one day. When you have sponsors and community members and you're putting them up and they're not getting the engagement, it might affect your future sponsorship, and it might even damage their brand. So this is the same organization, Big Valley Grace Church, one of the bigger churches in our community. This was in 2020. We thank them for being a sponsor, and they got 13 likes, and we only reached 263 people. Now, when you go over, got to get you, whoops, sorry. Gotta get everybody's picture box out of the way here. Now, when you go over, you see 2021, they had 59 likes, but the bigger thing is they had 484 views. And we're going to talk about reach in a second, but they had reached almost 1,000 people, and that's just in one day. So that's one day as that goes out. And as you continue to do it and reshare and all that, it continues to grow and go from there. So that's the power of video. Video is much, much better. And then we're also even going to talk about stories here in a second. When you're doing your events and activities throughout the year, including your big volunteer day, it's really important to do pre and post on your social media. We're going to talk a little bit about the difference between a post and a story. A post, if you're familiar with your page, it sits in the main area and it's there forever. A story we'll get to disappears unless you save it into a story box. When you do an event, you only want a pre and a post as far as posting. And I don't want to lose anybody here, so please let me know. Go ahead and speak up, because I can only see about 5 of your boxes. So if I have a question, please speak up or go from there. But when you post, like this is Every Child Matters, an event we do for foster youth. This on the left is the pre-post, and you saw how well it did. And that was just on the spot. It wasn't produced or anything. That was just me walking up to Crystal with my phone and going, tell me what you think about the event getting ready to start. And then at the end, it was just a thank you. And it had a huge impact on our social media and drove up the algorithm for that day. So those are posts. So in the middle of that, what I was doing for our social media for that page was doing a lot of stories. So that little circle you see at the top, that is actually almost a 20,000 to 1 click versus a post. Because for people, especially that are on social media a lot, they start with the story. It's up at top and they see their friend. They're like, hey, I'm on my social media. I see Jim Todd up there. I wonder what he's up to since his picture's showing from his profile. I click on it and that's all his stories. And you can put, the great part about this, you can load this as much as you want. So that rule I talked about the eggs and the soda, that does not exist in stories. So you can post all day, every second, and it's fine. And then within that, it gives you a place to save them so people can go back and look at them later. So when you're doing your volunteer day for events, so that's one of the things we all have in common, this is where you want a lot of your content to go that day, not posting. Because when you're posting, you're just going to keep pushing it down. What happens in a story is people hold their phone up, and to do a story, you just keep hitting it and clicking it and clicking it and clicking it, and you get to see all that. And it also creates data on that for you and all that good stuff. So that's why when you're doing those things, like for example, when we do Love Modesto, I'll do an exit post, maybe a couple things in between if there's something really exciting, but everything else will go in stories. And so that protects the algorithm and it still gets your message out. The algorithm, as I talked about, one of the things that's hard, it's like pushing a boulder uphill. And if you stop working on it, then it runs you over. And so that's where you're like, oh, I did all that and I got all to this level and then I didn't post for a week, or I post too much and then now the algorithm goes down. So what is the type of content that we want to see on there? We want to see what is considered strong content is avoiding stock photos. So, you know, sometimes people will grab a photo off the internet. The algorithms, all the stuff behind it recognizes that that's a stock photo and it drives your algorithm down. Avoid just posting a pic. So a lot of times people will just put a picture. You want to try to put your logo on it. As you see here, you know, this is a picture of, this is actually a stock photo, I believe, but we stuck it inside something. We didn't just put it up. So now it has our logo, it has all this. The algorithm then kicks that up higher. And so it doesn't fall. One of the biggest things to do is to pre-plan your posts. Try to avoid impulsive posts. Impulsive posts are, hey, I'm seeing something, I want to post it. That's for special stuff. If somebody runs into your office and says, hey, you know what? I had an idea, let's post this. You have to say no. And it's hard. And I think one of our cities talked to me the other day, they're doing this in their job now. You become, I call it the poo-poo police, because you're always saying no. But you have to protect the brand, you have to protect the algorithm and keep it driving. As Jeff said, we had just 1 year ago, we had just a little over 1,000 followers on Instagram, and now we're cutting into 4,500 and pushing on 5,000 already. And we'll talk about what that means later. Don't be afraid to be silly. People want to see personality. Social media is not meant to be transactional. That's the biggest thing, especially for us older people. We like to put stuff on there and people don't want to just read stuff. They love, one of the biggest things is behind the scenes. You'll see BTS jokes. They want to see personality. They want to see people goofing around in the office. They want to see the funny stuff. The picture of you setting up a project for your volunteer day is more exciting sometimes than the picture of the project. So in our heads, it's like, oh, we just did this garden. It's beautiful. People will go, yeah, that's cool. But if they see you with dirt all over your face and a shovel, and if you're pretending to whack somebody with a shovel or something like that, that's a picture that's going to do a little bit better and drive your algorithm up. And again, it draws people to what you're doing. And that's what we're trying to do. Again, is we're trying to bring more people in to share what we're doing for God, what we're doing in our community. So this is how you do that. And again, I see here, I have on the bottom, taken behind the scenes. That's the biggest one. You can Google it anywhere. It's why celebrity pages are so impressive now. And it's not because, oh my God, Kim Kardashian this. When they get to see Kim Kardashian in her house, you know, in the kitchen, people are excited about that. And same thing in business. If you see Nike CEO in his actual office, or if you see the local pastor in his actual office, it takes away that front side, and it's like breaking the fourth wall in theater. And so again, what's strong, celebrate, have fun. This is Women's History Month, and I'm actually working on one of these right now. So this is just the women that work in at the time of this post, the women that work in our office. Our Christmas one, instead of just grabbing a stock photo on Christmas, we just took a picture outside and then I stuck it in on this backdrop, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. This one has been one of our highest posts in almost 2 years. I had no clue it would even do that well, to be honest. I've just seen it everywhere. Many of you, memes have seen well, and I'm going to show you an example. It's great to take a meme and just repurpose it, and it'll drive up. So this one had over 104 likes the other day. So be comfortable with doing that. Be comfortable with being silly. Be comfortable with trying to do different things. Celebrate birthdays of your team, of your committee. Celebrate happenings, obviously the holidays and things like that. Those are all things that people want to see engage, and it does a lot better if you put people in there. Let them see the human side of who you are, not that you're just a pastor or you're a community chair or you're a business donating. Let them see who you are. So for example, you may have a big sponsor. Don't be afraid, go to that sponsor and give them some extra advertisement. Go film a commercial for them on their site, or go film a silly little thing with them going through a day at the office and getting ready for your volunteer day. Less effective content. Words are horrible in social media. Words do not belong in the picture, they belong underneath the picture. So why this all looks aesthetically great, it drives the algorithm down. And in a lot of ways, people will pass it up because they can't read it. Even here, it's harder to read. And imagine on social media, it's even smaller. This is the battle that I have with a lot of people. I shouldn't say battle. It's not like I'm fighting with anybody, but this is the conversation I have, because when you work with community partners, many of you are probably familiar. They all want to put 900 sponsors on the bottom. They want to put a lot of wording. And what it is people are used to designing posters and flyers. Posters and flyers do not belong on social media. When you do your social media content design, when you're doing your marketing design, not to segue too much, you create content for a poster, you create content for a flyer, and you create content for social media or digital marketing. They're all relatively themed the same, but they're going to be different. You can put a little bit more wording on a poster. You can put a lot more wording on a flyer. In the post, you want to put just the actual what it is and then everything below. So for example, you could take something like this and say, we've had tremendous success, and you can do a graphic that says that and then put this stuff underneath. You could have just this part, love our city's golf tournament, and as much of this underneath. And people will follow up, or you can put a link in our bio to come to the page and learn about this. You could grab one of these pictures and say, let me tell you about Love Modesto, and then put the information under. And again, don't forget to properly put it into the format that it's there for. So you can almost put as much content as you want under a Facebook page. The average Facebook user is anywhere between right now 36 to 55. So they're going to spend more time looking at stuff. Whereas the younger crowds, if you're trying to get your new business people or your younger millennials and under, they want to see the pretty picture. They want to see the shiny. The shiny is going to bring them in, and then they'll read below if they're interested. But if they don't see the shining, they're going to move on. Everybody with me so far? Any questions? I'll pause there. I usually do this in 90 minutes, so we're doing a little condensed version, and so then it makes me a little nervous. So if I'm going too fast, please let me know. So when do I post? This is a question I get a lot. Monday through Friday, you want to do 4 a.m. Now, some of you are like, what? I got to get up at 4 a.m. What I would encourage you, there's a lot of different platforms to use. And even my wife just asked me the other day, she's all, how are those going up? Because I know you didn't get up at 4 a.m. this morning. What happens is, like, we use ladder.com, but there's many different platforms to use. Very simplistic. Again, I sound really smart with this stuff. I'm not. It's just getting in there and pulling the wires out and see how it works. Ladder.com, you literally just drag your content over to a time frame that you want to post it, and then it posts it automatically for you. So that's what we use. So for example, today we had a post go up where for our volunteer days, we have posts Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. They are already done, and they go up at 4 a.m. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like, I sat down, our team sat down, we saw what we wanted to do. We got that all ready, and then we put it all into Ladder. So we're not sitting here at the last minute like, what should we do? And I might have to get up at 4 a.m. Now, I was doing that in the beginning. Our team was doing that in the beginning. That was not fun. So I'm glad we found Ladder. Weekends are a little different. And the reason why 4 a.m. is because people wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., those 4 cycles. And if any of you are social media people, which a lot of people are, they roll out of bed, and before they even go into the shower or anything, they grab that phone and start going through social media. And so that's why you want to hit those spots, and that's what drives your algorithm. On the weekends, people sleep in, holidays, so you can start a little bit later. Doesn't mean you can't start at 4, but you can still save your posting day by hitting it up at 8 o'clock. And if you're going to do multiple posts, it's better to do it on the weekend because people are more forgiving, and it'll show up a little bit more in the algorithm. So your first hour of engagement, we're going to talk about your first hour in your engagement. So when you're looking at your posts, If you hit, when I say first hour after the 8 o'clock is when basically the bell rings and everybody goes to school, if you will. If you go to 9 o'clock, and we'll talk about how we measure likes and all that in a second, but if you go to 9 o'clock and your post is not getting much traction, at that point, it's okay to go with a different post if you want, or just see what happens for the day. But if I'm looking at our page sometimes and something will come out and it's not hitting the spot I want at 9 o'clock, I'll go, you know what, let's try a different post, get it in here by about 9, 10 o'clock and see if we can save the day. Or I might wait and put another post in at 4 p.m. and see if we can save the day that way, statistically. The other part is in the engagement, as I mentioned, don't shy away from silly. So you see these right here for Love Modesto. These are getting our better responses right now. So we're having fun and finding ways to make people engage. They see, you know, they see the picture of Will Ferrell, they're drawn in and they come in for that. Now here's my golden rule. This is my golden rule for anything, but this is my golden rule, especially for marketing. Do not design it for you. Famous statement when people are doing this is like, I don't know if I like that. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking to attract people that are not you to what you do. If you have people in your family, if you have people around you that are you can access. I mentioned to Jeff, I use a lot of former students. I have this little group. I use my wife and her friends as all my guinea pigs. And so, for example, we had a video we were going to use one time, beautifully produced video. Everything was wonderful. I had them all watch it and I asked, and they said, that was a great video. And I go, okay, can you tell me what it was for? Can you tell me what the date was? And can you tell me what the purpose was? And they couldn't. And that's what happens when we design for what we think we like. It's like if we redo a whole web page and we're like, this is great, but we never test it with the consumer, if you will. And so our volunteers are our consumer. So do not design for you. Do not even put an event together for you. Always be thinking what the customer wants and how the customer evolves. The customer does not stay the same in social media or in business and life, or even in our volunteer events. As I said, our volunteers will look a lot different in 2022 and 2023 than they did in 2019. So designing your content too, there's a million different platforms and apps you can use. Find one that you feel comfortable with. Again, I am not a techie person. I am not a social media guru. I just know things from the training. I use two platforms. I use Canva and I use Adobe Creative Cloud. Right now, I'm still getting a little bit more freshened into Canva, but I've been in Adobe Creative Cloud now for about 10 years. And they just switched. It used to be Spark Post. Now it's Adobe Creative Cloud Express. You can get these on your phone. They have nonprofit rates sometimes that are free. I think Canva has the free one. Adobe, you can go in there. If you have to pay for them, it's $4 a month, and I think it's $10 or $12 a month for Canva. But these are two of my favorite platforms that I use. So everything that you see that we use for Love Stanislaus County either comes from these two platforms or that we professionally produce it. So this is kind of to walk you through a little bit, like, so here is all we did here is we found a blank meme. So here we just Googled office meme, and this is a very famous meme. I'm sure many of you have seen it. And so we just Googled office meme blank, and we found this, and we're like, jackpot. Sometimes the hardest part about creating your content is finding this or what you want to use, that background picture. We have one that's up today. It's a video that we put inside a television box. And the hardest part was finding that television box. That part took a couple hours to find that box. And then once we did, it was just sticking the video in there and it looks like you're watching TV when the post comes up. But as you can see, this was blank. And then we just dropped our own font and our own stuff. And every part of this right here was all done on Adobe. So on the Adobe Express that I was just talking about. So that's what you can do. Same thing here. And this is what I'm talking about a post that engages people. We've gotten more feedback on these posts right here. We did this type of post for all of our board. We did it for our advisory committee and we did it for our staff. And for you, this could be your actual committee. It could be volunteers or project leaders, depending on where you're at. But again, this is where we started. It was just a blank picture. And then we dropped all this on here. And so in the Adobe that I was talking about, like this picture, I don't know how to go in. Some of you may be better at this than me and put it in here and cut that all out. It does it for you. So this was a regular picture we took in our studio. And then when I put it in that app, it takes the background out for me. I drop it right on top and we're good to go. So that's amazing. So then you can do that even off a regular picture. Like I'm seeing Megan in my box. I could take a picture of her right now. She just got scared, so that's awesome. And I could take that with that app. I can take the entire bookshelf out behind her, although we would never want to do that. So that's the that's the power of being able to kind of transform that. And then I'm going to show you, this is more of the step-by-step here. So these are one of our Love Modesto posts that go up on Friday. So this was the process. This is exactly what happened in the app. We started with a blank red background. We searched around and found a Polaroid blank form that we can use. Then we added in here our tagline, think love, inspire love, and give love. Then we dropped the Love Modesto logo in here. So now we're starting to follow all the rules. We're branding it. We've got all the algorithm rules in here. And then we just drop the photo in. And the cool part is when you create this inside the apps that we're talking about, it saves it. So you can hit duplicate and then switch out the picture. So like I said, we have these over 12 weeks. So once all of this was created in one format, then all I had to do is switch picture, switch picture, switch picture. I have a template now. And I've even been able to give this to some other cities and put like love Oakdale, love Waterford, love anything like that on there, and they can use it if they want to. Because we support multiple cities in love Stanislaus County. But this was the process. And again, the hardest part of this process for us was finding this. And it took a little longer, not as long as the TV, but that was the hardest part. If you're an uber creative person, it might be a little harder because you're so creative, you want to do that. And it's kind of how I can get sometimes. You're looking for that perfect image. If you're not, you're like, oh, cool, that's a Polaroid. We'll just take that one. But this is the step-by-step process kind of how we go through and we create most of our social media content. So again, it's not in a lab. It's not any high tech, anything doing that. This was all done on a phone. So here's the thing that we need to understand about a business approach versus our personal approach to social media. Most people identify a post being successful by the number of likes they get. And that's what we call a vanity post. We're not looking for vanity success. We're looking for business success. To get to business success, you have to have, it's a combination of three things, and likes is your least important part. What you're looking for, one, is you need to drive up your followers. So this is the hardest thing to do. And people ask how you can do it. There's two ways to do it. You can do it organically. And organically is you just wait for people to follow you. You send emails, ask them to follow you. You do all that stuff. But what happens is social media has tested this theory, and it works a lot better in Instagram than it does on Facebook. But if I go to Jason's page and I like his page, psychologically, Jason, it feels an impulsive behavior to then go like my page. So what I do a lot of times, and you have to be careful about this, is I go through and look for our audience. And let's say, for example, Modesto Chamber, our Chamber of Commerce is one of the ones I started with. So I go to the Modesto Chamber of Commerce page, I click on their followers, and I start liking their followers. Don't do more than about 150 in a day because Instagram will lock you out thinking that you're a robot. But I do that, and of the 150, 50 or 60 then follow us back. So then all of a sudden I've got my audience. This is the most important thing, is first you have to have your audience. So you can, like I said, you can organically do that, put it in your newsletter, send emails to your volunteers and do that, or you can drive it up yourself. Then obviously once you have this and then you do your posts, your likes will start to get better. But your likes will only get better if you keep the algorithm up. But again, the likes is not as important. It is a little important. You want to see them get up. But then the ultimate thing that we're trying to accomplish in the professional social media approach is the reach. This is the part most people don't even know about. So when you're posting in your thing, you see right here where it says view insights. When you click on that, it gives you this. And that's what we're looking for. 33 likes is cool. But what's more important is that we got 613 people that we reached. That's what we want, is we want to reach accounts. Because what we don't realize is some people will look at our content and not like it. And we think that they're not liking it because they don't like it. Some people are just not the type to click the heart or click the like on Facebook, things like that. They're just scrollers. Some people call them trollers. You see a lot of this on TikTok. So if you get into TikTok, there's a lot of people on TikTok that don't put up videos. They just look at everybody else's videos. I'm one of them. I don't even know how to do a TikTok, to be honest, but I'm on TikTok and I love seeing all the content. I love stand-up comedy, so I watch a lot of that on there. So that's the difference about what people think versus what they do. So this is the number that we're reaching for, because the reach and the overview calculates not just the likes, but it calculates everybody that came through the account. So it's the combination. I always like to say triangulation of these three things that builds the success of what you're looking at and how you're doing it there. And that is all I have for slides. I'm open for questions or anything you're thinking of, and just let me know. Brandon, I'm curious what's on the back of that hat. I'm hoping it's not an SF. That's not bad. I can live with it. I can live with it. I don't love it, but.
All right, back to the topic. Any questions or any insights that any of you want to share regarding social media?
Brian, could you speak to ads and using ads at all in your social media?
Are you talking about booster ads?
Either or, yeah, whatever your thoughts on those are.
Ads are okay. It just, you have to, so I'll kind of tell you what I tell the cities we work with in Stanislaus County. Why we give you the templates and everything here, you have to make sure, just like when you do your volunteer days, that you don't lose the culture of your area. So I'm always cautious of like telling people too much in that area, because I know in our area, sometimes ads, people will scroll through them because it'll tell you it's an ad. So then there's a trust issue sometimes with the consumer. Now a boost is great, because what the boost is it's like it's almost like drinking an energy drink, if you will. So when you pay for that boost, then it kind of supersizes your post and it reaches people in your area and draws more attraction. So I'm more a fan of a boost than an ad, but again, it's to your area. Just like if we tell you, oh, you know, at Love Modesto, we do this, it doesn't mean that it's going to work in Colorado. It doesn't mean it's going to work in LA. It's really important. It's one of the first things I talk about with each city is to hold on to the culture and the identity of your city. So that's very important.
Good question. Anyone else? I see Lynn is asking, what is considered a well-viewed post? How many likes and reach would you expect to see?
So again, Lynn, that's a great question. It starts with how many followers you have. So that's what's important. If you don't have the followers, if you have, for example, 100 followers and you get 25 likes, that's an amazing post. If you have 5,000 followers and you get 25 likes and 500 reach, that's not an amazing post. So it starts with the followers you have, and then it goes down to the likes and the reach. I would say on average, if you've built a good audience, like for example, I'll just use us, we're at 4,200 right now. I like to see about 50 likes, and I like to see a reach of anywhere from 700 to 1,000 per post. And so go from there. And I'm sorry, one thing I didn't mention, I need to add to the slides, is make sure you're not reposting the same thing all the time. That is a huge no-no in social media. In fact, I've talked to some friends at my old job at the college, because they'll have an event that they post the same post every single week. That drives the algorithm down. They want new and fresh content. So find ways to, like, that's why if we do something for Love Modesto, we have the same branding, and your branding is important so people can identify who you are. But then you have to get into, okay, let me change this up a little bit. Branding is going to be really important for your consumer. And as Jeff mentioned, that was probably our biggest challenge when we started this journey about a year ago, is we have different logos, we have all this different stuff. How do you bring it all together? I mean, we even, laughing with Jeff, we even had this conversation over the awnings that we're using downtown for Love Modesto. So your branding has to be the marquee, and everything else has to be under it. If you start messing with your branding, people don't understand what they're looking at. For example, if Nike turns their swoosh upside down, if the Raiders weren't using silver and black, if the Giants stopped using orange, you know, I see the LA hat. A lot of times when I see an A's hat that's red, I'm throwing off, and I'm using the sports examples to kind of to resonate with you. But it's when you mess with the brand, people have trouble understanding what it belongs to.
All right, we're going to bring this plane in for a landing here. Megan, I love what you shared here. Any templates, any great templates? This is how we can help each other out. Any templates that you are using that you think other cities could use as well? Let's not reinvent the wheel. So please send them, email those to Megan. I'm sorry, I think I said Mandy. Megan, you see in the comments there, her email address. So awesome, you guys. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you so much for the time and energy and effort that you put into this thing. Brian, if you're able, if you could stay on for a couple minutes. Yep. I just want to see if you have, you know, specific questions you want to ask Brian or me. I'll be on the call as long as needed, but we'll put this meeting to a close, and feel free to stay on if you have more questions. I appreciate y'all.
Feel free to reach out if you have questions too.
All right. Thank you, guys.